Hello. Good evening, everyone. This is April Tribe Juke with the Beacon of Light podcast tonight. We are thrilled to have with us Helen Matejik. And we are excited because she is a fiction writer. And through fiction, so many doors really open up. So I'm thrilled to talk to her. But before we talk to her, we're going to jump into this. I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. And we are back. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Helen. Welcome, all of those who have popped up here live on YouTube as well as Facebook. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, please, type them out and let's see if we can get them out there on the podcast for everyone to know what's happening. All right, Helen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, I'd be glad to do that. Thank you, April. I am a writer of young adult Christian fiction, and that is a very small genre. And yet, our young adults read a high percentage of fiction or fantasy fiction, especially. So, God called me to do this about 20 or so years ago, and I've been writing off and on, but I didn't heed his call until last fall. And when I did, it was an amazing experience for me. God did so many divine appointments. He had, now let me back up and just talk to you a little bit about how that call came about, because that was just such a supernatural event. And I think a lot of you can relate to something like this. It was during a time in which a certain series of books was coming out, and it was being passed around to a lot of our young adults. And my son, who was going to a Christian school at the time, brought a book home. And I looked at the book and I thought, oh, I'm not too sure about this. So I Googled you to see what Christian leaders were saying about the book. And there were two camps. One camp of leaders that I respected, saying, oh, no, don't let your kids read this book. It's full of witches and witchcraft, and it's not good. And then there was another camp of leaders that I really appreciated and admired. And they said, oh, no. Oh, yes, it's okay for your kid to read this book. It's just the classic good against evil. And I thought, well, which is it? So I read the book and my heart broke, and because I realized that it was full of a darkness, and it didn't ultimately lead our kids to light. And as Christians, that's what we want. We want our kids to know the truth. And we all know that there's no such thing as good witches and bad witches, because they get their source, their power from the same source. And so I cried out. I went into prayer and I travailed and I cried out to the Lord, Lord, you've got to raise up Christian writers. He can write books along as well as this particular person wrote books. And after 2 weeks of my heart just being poured out, I heard God, not audibly, but almost, say, yes, honey, and you're one. Well, to make a long story short, I ran. I said, "Oh, no." I went into Moses mode and said, "Oh, no, you're not me. You really need some good writers who write that kind of fiction to step up to the plate and do that." After 2 weeks, with God not giving me any rest, waking me up, giving me dreams, supernaturally downloading things in the most unusual ways, I gave in. I said, "Okay, Lord, I'll do that." Well, it still took me 20 years to do that. So I guess you can call it delayed obedience. So that is how I got the call to write the book.
Awesome. And so your book, let's get the title up here. It is called The Eagles Jubilee. So this is really interesting to me. So I'm going to guess that maybe we're going to be talking about some animals in this particular book. And my guess is eagles.
Your guess is right. The main character, Z, was named by God, and that is another wonderful story. I was driving along on I live on the East Coast, so it was I-93, and I was thinking about his name and thought, "Oh, wait a minute. Z is a little corny." I was gonna throw it out the window and think of another name. And just as I decided I wasn't going to name him Z, this car went whizzing by me, got in front of me, and slowed down. And I thought, "Wow, what is going on with this person?" Right? And my eye caught the license plate, and the license plate said Eagle Z. And I said, "Oh, Lord, okay, I get it." I'd never seen that license plate ever before or even after that event. So Z, the major character in the book, is an eagle. He belongs to the gem eagle tribes. There are 11 of them, and
So
there's an
11 tribes or 11 in the gem group?
11 tribes, and there are a lot of surprises in the book. I like to write whimsical and fun fiction that promotes our Christian values. So through the characters, they learn these values: the value of forgiving, the value of working together as a team, the value of courage. Once you understand that you're not alone, the value of making the right choices and the consequences of making wrong choices. So, in a fun fictional environment, Z and his companions learn all of um, these things as they go on a quest to save the Gem Eagle tribe communities.
Awesome. Sorry, I know my delayed in my sign language. Like I got to get it all in. So
You did.
this, the community that you created through these eagles, who's their nemesis? I'm sure there's something out there that's trying to do something about all of that. So if you'd like to kind of share maybe a little bit, we'd love to know.
Yeah. So, the ultimate nemesis, why they're sent on the quest, is there is a dragon by the name of Ekthron who has decided that he wanted to expand his territories. He's got some other nefarious ideas of what he wants to do, but ultimately it threatens the peace in the community of these eagle tribes. And so this is the reason why Z and his companions are sent on this quest. And they're sent to not necessarily take on Ekron, but to spy for those that feel that they can, you know, they can fight the dark forces as a community. It's to better prepare them. But there are a lot of other surprises as a result. But the bad guy is Ekthron, and he's a dragon.
Awesome. I have somebody with a question here. It says, how do you feel about this book? And is it emotional? Does it bring you some happiness? What about all of that?
All of that. I mean, in the book, Z and his companions, they experience a lot of emotion. They experience sorrow, they experience joy, and they experience courage, and they learn that they can be brave. They learn about their self-identity and that they have a purpose. So there is a wide range of emotions, and as young adults, teens, they experience a wide range of I'm sorry, range of emotions. So they, the book in these characters kind of reflects some of the life issues that our young adults experience.
That is true. When you have those experiences, you do question. I know as a teenager, you were seeking out somebody else who maybe has understanding of this or experience of that. Sometimes it would be going to someone more, I'll say, mature. Sometimes, sometimes it's trying to figure it out with your friends, and it can go pretty good or it can go pretty bad. It just and it depends on what's happening. And those are great learns, right?
Mhm.
Because within that teenage opportunity, you know, all right, I'm going to experience something. I know what the rules are, and I'm going to make a choice. Um, what could really help me lead me to a direction that's going to benefit me, or oops, maybe hurt me. But either
Mhm.
way, learning is really what's going to happen. So, with Z, can you share maybe one adventure that he has without spoiling everything?
Ooh, that is a interesting and a difficult question, April. He has a lot of really cool experiences. Um, on one experience, I can say a little bit about it, but without giving the total thing away. And that is that they do journey through a number of terrains. Yeah, and they experience other worlds. Other, they find out that the gem eagle tribes, that's not the only thing that exists. There are other communities out there of different um, beings and individuals that, and some good, some not good. And at one point in one of the terrains that they experience is going through a cave. And I actually went and sat in a cave virtually, not physically, but virtually for 2 weeks. I really had to get acquainted with the sounds and what it was like. And I've been in caves, so I had a good sense of what caves were like. But I really wanted to focus on what the sounds were like, what there are bats in caves, what they sound like, etc. So I spent a lot of time really doing the research in the sensory field so that it would be a very real experience for the readers. And I learned a lot, and I'm sure they will learn a lot about that experience as well.
Isn't that a fun thing about being a writer, to capture? You have to paint the scene. How are
Mhm.
things smelling, feeling? What does it look like? The textures, all of these things, depending on whatever it is that you're performing or whatever the character is performing in that area or terrain, as you said, it's really going to be interesting to see how you describe it. And it's like our eyes, obviously, there's the picture. Okay,
Mhm.
well, now I've got to paint that out with words. And
Mhm.
it is a lot of fun, I think, in the writing part of that, that really can get things creatively going. And then as people read through it, you would hope that they feel like they've been dropped into a movie, right? And they can see, feel, smell everything all around. Oh dear, I don't know what that was, but I think we're okay now. I had a pitched squeal.
Hey.
Get everything's okay. All right.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I think that's really neat. I wanted to mention something about the book cover and the artistry that happened with that. Can you share? Oh yes, hold it up there. Can you share a little bit about how this
Let's see
image
if I can
came?
get it in there. Yeah. Oh, yes. And I'm holding it upside down. That didn't help at all, but here you go. That image, this painting, this was actually a painting, a watercolor. Um, there's some pe pen and pencil. This young lady used a number of different mediums. 15-year-old Jada Graham from Tennessee, heard about my book and said, I can draw that picture. And of course, when she said that, I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I said, well, go ahead and draw a picture and let me see it. And she drew this picture, and I was blown away. She did a fabulous job, don't you think? So anyway,
Yes.
a 15-year-old, a young adult, painted the cover of this picture. And what's really nice about this, April, is that before I put a word to paper, I did go and to several libraries, about four different libraries, looking for wholesome Christian fantasy works, because that is what God called me to do. And I couldn't find any. All of the books that I found on the library shelves were about mummies and zombies and witches, and you get the picture. And the covers are all dark. They're all dark. So the wonderful thing about this is it's light, and it's a book that's to bring light and life and love into the hearts and imagination of our young people.
Isn't that fun to experience this rush of light? And our kids, they have light within them. Huge. The light of Christ is with all people. And why not keep feeding them this light instead of all of this darkness? We got
Yes.
it, world. This is terrible. I got it. Let's
Yes.
show this light. Like, let's put it into our sunset of our life and not our sunrise of our life and not our sunsets of life. We all know it's going to get dark. And that's why we're supposed to sleep. Close it off, have great dreams, wake up with the light again.
Yes.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations to that 15-year-old for putting that together and for you seeing it and accepting it and putting it on the cover. Wonderful. I mean, that just really supports our youth to know I can do some things here. And look,
Mhm.
my image is on, a book, and people are picking this up and are reading it. And to bring that hope and light, it really is a difference. It makes
Yes.
such a difference in people's just awareness of so many things. I think that's fantastic. Um, I've got someone here. Her name is Dorothea. She said that you captured the nuances of what you were writing. It was a wonderful fantasy. So she has read this book. Way to go. Look, she's got a review right here for you. Thank you, Dorothea. That is awesome. I love it. And we have here Abby. I am a Christian and I believe in God. Well, Abby, we got to get this book for you so that you can go out there and read it. Interesting question. Why did you choose eagles for the characters?
Well, actually, I didn't choose eagles for the characters. The original series that God downloaded, I'm gonna put my glasses on, my that God downloaded was a 3-book series. And when he started needling me last fall and made it apparent that I couldn't procrastinate any longer, I needed to get on the ball and do what he had called me to do. I picked up all of the notes, the chapters that I've written over the since the first call, maybe the 20 years, over the 20 years. And it was obvious that the one character in the book was an eagle. And it was obvious that the eagle needed his own story. The others, they'll have eagles in it and humans. But this particular eagle had a very small I would say a very small piece in the story, but he still needed a story of his own. And so when I'd given the manuscript or the first few chapters to my editor, he called me up and he said, Helen, I think that eagle needs his own story. Now, it was something that I had already been thinking about, so it was confirmation. So I had to write a whole story for Z. So Z has his own story, but there's also, he's a small part of a 3-book series. However,
Wow.
when you read this book, Z will have his own series. Z and his companions will have his own series.
That is so fun. I mean, and what Well, my mind kind of brings me to another fantasy, a fiction, an incredibly um, powerful book as well, written by a Christian. The Lord of the Rings series, right? We know towards the end these eagles appear, and you wonder, huh, why couldn't you helped out a little earlier, right? Now you're showing up, but you know when you said that's just a small part of the story, you wonder, well, maybe those eagles were battling something else and they just barely were able to get there. Anyway, it's just interesting to see how your mind goes off.
That's right. You know, and the interesting thing as a writer is writing fiction. Now, writing nonfiction is very different than fiction. But as you're writing fiction, you're creating worlds, you're creating characters. You're always thinking, why is this character doing this? Why does this character say this? And how does this character look? How does this character interact? So there's a lot that you're looking at and you need to capture to put onto a page. And it's fun because you can map out, and I do have a story map. I story map. Some writers, they write longhand for a long time and then put it in, or some outline. They have different writers have different methods, but I map the story out. And I do outline a little bit, but I'm the type of individual. I have the overall picture of where the story is going to begin and where the story is going to end, and some very significant story occurrences. And so I'll be following that along, and then suddenly a character will take me in a whole different direction. And so that, you know, that's a lot of fun when the characters do that. They just grab you by the hand and say, "No, I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way." And so you just let them lead and the story evolves that way. It's a fun process.
It is a fun process. And I hope this year, so I am a teacher, and I hope this year I can get some of my students, they are kids, but my students, into writing some of these fun things because they've got great ideas. And just to see, what will they do? What will they say? Putting it down. And we can help with scribing, whatever. I do have a lot of kids with special needs, and it's been really fun to see where their brains kind of create and go. And we listen to story, many that are fictional that have some type of adventure because it captures their attention. And I would love to kind of introduce some more of these stories and then have them start to write up something for themselves. It's going to be really fun. Anyway,
It is beautiful. And we know that parents and even teachers that promote the process of reading and reading fiction, not just reading, but reading fiction, inspire creativity in their young people. And studies have shown that, especially with the young adults, I've looked at those particular studies, but I'm sure it's because they've been fostered for reading from a very young age. They do better academically. They also have a greater range of vocabulary. There is other studies that indicate that they are well adjusted. They have greater. It promotes and fosters greater social skills and so on. We have an uptick in ADHD and ADD. And part of that is because there is so much coming at our kids. So our kids label themselves as ADD. Parents may label our kids as ADD. Um, so they go around, it's kind of saying it's okay to be ADD. But I believe that there are kids that are, that there are medical reasons that they are ADD. There's certainly a lot more than just the fact that all this stuff is coming at them, but this adds to that. And so their focus goes here and their focus goes there and their focus goes here. And they have a short attention span as a result of that. And technology is a big factor in all of that. So studies have shown that there is something that really causes the brain pathways to open up to creativity and to be more peaceful when a young person is able to touch and the tactile experience, open pages. It really helps with that brain development, where as opposed to being on technology, where they're not sitting, they're not focusing for a long period of time. They're here, they're there, and in a number of different places. So I thought that was a very interesting study. But there's so much more that is positive, that are positive results for our kids if they sit and they read books.
I agreed. The reading portion of just how your life can go, the focus, the intensity that happens, and the creation there, it is the escape. It is just something that really builds, like you said, the vocabulary. And what is interesting is how they start to apply the lessons that they've learned through those characters. Characters are very safe. They can say, I wonder what he's going to do. And they get to be kind of within the back pocket. And that's really an incredible experience. So I encourage reading all of the time. And if you can't physically do the reading, listening to something audibly, let's just get into story. And that is fantastic. So, Helen, with our last few minutes here together, would you like to share anything that maybe you would like to leave our audience with tonight?
Well, before I leave our audience with something in particular, and there's certainly a number of things that I could leave them with, I would like to invite them to download. I have a mini novella. It's called Ekalina's Song. And this here, young adults as well as adults would enjoy reading it. It is about a grandmother-granddaughter relationship and how the granddaughter comes to understand her grandmother and then enters into the secret of the grandmother's love story with the groom, with the bridegroom. And she happens to be the great grandmother of Eagle Sea. And so she also discovers the world of Eagle Sea. So that is a free download I have. I don't know if there's a way to drop in a link for that, or if I could just read off the link for people. Or
Oh, we will definitely connect that link up for sure. I think that is a great thing. And listen to all of that, you grandmas out there. Grab this, read it off to your granddaughter. I know that I've got several within my family that would really enjoy that. And just see how that connection relationship can build. That is wonderful. And that is a free gift that Helen is offering here tonight. And where can we buy this book, Eagle's Jubilee?
it is on Amazon. So if you Google on Amazon the Eagles Jubilee, or you put in my name, Helen Matejik, or if you, I even had somebody Google just plain Eagles, and it was one of the books there. I think you have to scroll down more. So if you're more specific with my name in the title of the book or the title of the book, it'll lead you right to the Amazon page. And it's in three forms. It's in ebook and print, soft cover and hard cover.
Wonderful, wonderful. And everybody, I would love to challenge you to go there to Amazon and to take a look at it. If you have those downloads for ebooks, grab a hold of that and see what can happen for all of you. I think that would be fantastic and a great way to end summer with a great, fiction creative book and find out what's going to happen to Eagle Z there. We're going to see how his character really develops and through these journeys and adventures, and a clean Christian book. Hey, that is awesome. Great way to end your summer. So thank you so much, Helen, tonight. Again, her book is The Eagles Jubilee. And go out there, grab it from Amazon. And Helen, we've had running on the ticker underneath here a way to contact you, which is the Kingdom of Lights book at gmail.com. So you can reach her that way. And thank you all again for coming here tonight, asking great questions, and being a part of the Beacon of Light show. We will be here again next week with another author and another great book. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you for having me on, April. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching us, too.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.